Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Capitalist Corner. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, Michael Liebowitz, who is, of course, also the host of his own show, The Rational Egoist. Of course, I think people are now probably dissuaded that you're rational or an egoist based on the arguments that we've had the last couple of days, which I have summarily defeated everything that you've said.
You know what we can do with that? We can take those. We can have Persephone make us just clip that, and we can. Or I can just submit the whole thing to Grok and say, Grok, who won these debates, and let Grok put the analysis.
Let Grok.
Matter of fact, we're going to do this. That's what we're going to do now.
Okay, but
Since
we're going to do it. We're going to do it post show, though. We're not going to do it during the show because we have a lot of things to get to.
Of course, I'm not going to do it during the show, Mark.
So tell me, yes, you, it's possible that you could do it during the show.
You know, they're giving us grief here every day about being late. They're late. Lee says Mike won, but they say we're late. Manu says I won. Lee says I won.
Lee would say that. Manu would say that. They're all enemies of me at the moment.
Okay. Is that like being an enemy of the state? What was that your favorite play? Not your favorite, but it's a.
It is one of my favorite plays. Enemy of the People.
Yeah, who is that? I can't remember. Was it Arthur Miller?
No, it's not Arthur Miller.
Who is it?
Look, do you see what I'm doing here? I'm pulling a Michael Liebowitz on you. How does it feel?
It feels fine. I don't. It doesn't bother me because I'm not an insecure schoolgirl.
It was Ibsen.
Ibsen. Henrik Ibsen. It's Heinrich, not Henrik.
Heinrich Ibsen.
It's probably Enrik.
Enrik. It might be Swedish. So, all right. So today is Q&A. Wait, we didn't get to. Did you already run through your schedule for the Rational?
We didn't do anything.
All right. Tell us what's happening on the Rational Egoist so that people who are new to the show.
Rational Egoist, great episode out right now. It has to do with experiencing no's in life and the importance of hearing no and how we deal with no. Great interview. I highly recommend it to everybody. It's out right now. So check it out. After this, then you go check it out. You know what I mean? Don't pick one over the other. We need both.
We do need both. And today's Q&A day. Today's Friday, folks. Happy Friday to all of you. Today you have questions that you could throw at the chair and the vice chair, should you choose. But we also have a couple of news items to get to.
Well, hold on. I want to just comment on something here. Jim Valiant tells me to read some Ibsen, dude. Yesterday, he's telling me I need to write an essay. Jim, any other assignments for me that I should be doing? I'm just curious. It's a question for Jim Valiant. Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sure he does have assignments for you. And so you should get to writing and get to reading, my friend. So today
you don't want to be lecturing anybody about reading, dude. No way.
That's true, but why not? Since I'm here, I can and I will. I have the microphone. I'm going to lecture.
Yeah.
Hey, so Michael sent me a tweet. This was from the Mossad satirical account. I believe.
Mark, you got to tell him first that check out AmericanCapitalistParty.org.
Oh yeah.
And you have to tell them that the views that we express are not necessarily indicative of those of the American Capitalist Party.
It's Friday. Thank you very much.
And we have to tell them that it's Q&A Friday in case they have any questions.
I already said that. Yeah, okay. So it's Q&A Friday, folks, in case you have any questions. What we are saying, especially with this next story, does not necessarily reflect the views of the American Capitalist Party. And but it will certainly reflect our own personal points of view. This tweet came from the Mossad satirical account, and it was Candace Owen questioning Harvey Weinstein. And according to this account, she's trying to coax him into admitting that he was framed by Jews. And so for the next minute or so of this section of her interview is attempting to coax him into that. This is a cabal. This is conspiracy to convict you. Not to say he's a dirty, rotten, sucking pig that probably everybody wanted out, but he was a successful guy, and the rest of Hollywood, especially the Jews, aimed their sights at him and took him down. Not because he was a pig and was abusing his position as a high-powered producer to sexually abuse women, but because the Jews, they are the reason everything goes wrong in the world. So What do you think of this?
It
This
was
woman has got to be one of the
it was
craziest
insane
people.
because she's got him there and she says she tees it up nice for him, right? She says, I followed this, and clearly you were set up. Basically, you're innocent, and this had to be some powerful people. She says, you must know who did this to you, right? And he says, well, there's powerful people in Hollywood or something. And she says, yeah, but who? And this goes on, he says something and she says, yeah, but who is that? But who is that? So finally it gets to the point where he says, well, it's, Qatar. It's a company from
So
Qatar.
funny.
And then he says, then she says, yeah, but who else? Who did that? And he says, oh, well, that was a company in Saudi Arabia. So he
funny.
never got around to saying it was the Jews. Now it's funny because she then did a follow-up where she's commenting on this. I didn't send that to you, but she says, oh, people who think I was trying to get him to say Jews are just stupid because he's Jewish. So what? That doesn't mean anything. That could be why you want him to say it, because it always seems to people fall into this trap of thinking that if somebody of a given ethnicity or race goes against their race or ethnicity, then there must be something to the criticism. And that's kind of how Candace, got her whole shtick to begin with, right? She was a black woman who was speaking up for conservatism. So then I like Candace Owens, your old white guy conservative. They really liked her. I've even heard people say, I think that, excuse me, she should run for president. And I heard one guy say her and Condoleezza Rice, and the talk show host said, you really put those two in the same category?
Wow.
But the woman is,
clearly unhinged.
It's often, well, is she unhinged or is she just a very smart grifter?
She could be a smart grifter, but she appears to anybody with a reasoning mind to be unhinged. And if this isn't the result of some kind of mental illness, then she's a very bad person because she's doing this consciously.
I think she's a very bad person. She has, gets millions of views. She's very popular. She has, that niche. And if you notice, these influencers, they praise one another. They go on each other's shows, Candace Owens, Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson. And, it's not their intellectual rigor that they're each complimenting the other on. It's that they want the other to promote them. At least that's what it seems. I shouldn't say I know that for a fact because I don't. But the evidence indicates that they're out to have the other promote them, support them, say good things about them.
So Deeper with Diego said 10 years ago, Candace Owen was a leftist who attempted to create a website to specifically dox right-wingers and conservatives. When that failed, she griftered. Did you know about that? I didn't know about that because
I knew she was a leftist. I didn't know all that. I knew then she was the conservative, and then now she's jumped on the hate Israel train because that comes with a lot of followers. You go out there and start talking about how bad Israel is, you're getting followers.
Yes, I've seen that phenomena, and you lose followers and you get deplatformed often when you are talking pro-Israel talking points. And what's crazy is if the Jews controlled everything, you'd think they would allow the pro-Israel, pro-Jewish faction of X to rise to the top, get the most views, and even get the most followers. But it's actually the opposite.
Yes, it is.
Those Jews do a terrible job of puppeteering the rest of the world.
Yeah, Allie Beard, ask your question whenever you want. You don't have to ask a question if you can ask a question. Just ask the question. She wants to ask a question.
We have Michael. Guiding the conversation now, so he'll keep track of all the questions. So we were thinking about you and I, just as private individuals, doing a good old foot stomp on Candace Owens via social media, or were you just trying to lure me into the fight with her? No,
I think. Well, I didn't really mean for this to be a subject for discussion on the show. But I first of all, I find her. No, I think that she's reprehensible. More to the point, I think we have a real problem with information in this country, or maybe in the world, whatever. But I'm more concerned with this country, where people take the words of a Tucker Carlson, Dave Smith, Candace Owens, and there's others out there that I just can't. Daryl Cooper, and they go and they follow them. And most of the people are not innocents, I don't think, that follow them. I think most of the people just eat that shit up. They love it. But I do think that there's people that are just out looking for information, don't know how to assess their source. It just stands to reason based on probability that they would fall into this and then start accepting, this stuff is factual. So I really think that whole genre needs to just be slayed, because they call themselves the new media, and I just think they're ridiculous. But also there's the added benefit that if you pick a fight with Candace Owens, we could draw attention to the show and get more viewers. That's the type of stuff that you talk about in the prep room. You don't talk about in front of the fans. But I guess whatever,
Mark, well, you never said that. You never said that.
I shouldn't have to. You're an actor. You've been in this
business. My life is an open book.
Really? Do you when you go to your auditions and things of that nature, you come on and talk about all that? Come on. No, you don't.
Sure I do.
Mark.
I talk personal info if I have to.
No. Yes. You didn't have to talk about that just now. You chose.
Somebody asked me a question. I don't shy away from any questions.
I can't do it. I can't do it because you're going to get mad at me if I ask the question. So I'm not gonna. You literally. Let me just say this. Literally, this happened, folks. I asked a question that wasn't. We were in private. Wasn't even in public. I asked a question that wasn't even going to reveal the secret. And Mark said, "I can't talk about that." And I said, "But that's not going to tell me
because I'm under NDA. I'm under NDA.
Said, "Okay,
big
but so, yeah,
we're bickering.
Okay, so
we're bickering on Q&A Friday. This is not
so you don't. That's the point. You don't just talk about everything. But anyways,
when I'm under contract not to talk about it, I don't talk about it. But everything else is I'm an open book.
Okay, open book. Pick a fight with Candace Owens so that we can get more viewers."
Okay, but I don't think that's going to work. But I always.
We're going to try it because honestly, the woman's reprehensible. Either she's deranged or she's just morally very repugnant.
Maybe a little bit of both. It could be a little bit of both. That's possible.
It could be a little of both.
Akira Felix says Mark never lies. He's just acting. Well, Akira, acting is telling the truth under.
Oh my God!
I just want you to know that it's always telling the truth. If it's good acting, it's telling the truth. Also, folks, remember to like and subscribe to the station and also to share it liberally on social media. That would be fantastic. That the algorithm likes that very much. All right, I'm getting notes from my representatives, but I'm going to ignore those for this.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Here's Ali Beard's question. What do y'all think of the latest controversial American Eagle ads? I can't believe it's a controversy. It's just fucking stupid.
Wait a minute, but when she said she's got great genes, wasn't she implying white, centrist, patriarchal?
No, I got news for you. She's got great genes, both the genes that she's rocking and the genes that
she's good looking. Because she's good looking?
She's got good genes in that regard, right?
You know who else had good genes?
Beyonce has got good genes.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant had good genes.
Yeah.
I mean, Julio Cesar Chavez had good genes.
Well,
I got the short guy, medium build, slouch shoulder genes. So maybe I don't have good genes. But the point is, who cares? It's not a fucking white supremacist. I'm swearing now. It gets me so annoyed. It's not a white supremacist commercial. These people, and this is the problem, right? Because I can't stand the crazies on the other side. Like we just talked, these Jew haters, the racists, the Nick Fuenteses of the world, But then these left-wing crackpots say stuff like this, and it just builds the other side up, and we end up with Trump.
You know what? Both sides don't seem to be able to enjoy life.
No.
I mean, the simplest commercial has their panties in such a wad that they are enraged and literally trying to cancel Sweeney and American Eagle. That's how enraged they are. Imagine being that mad all the time that a commercial sets you off.
No, there's people that just look for reasons to be offended. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have said that. Just shut up. So that's your answer, Ali. They should just shut up. Huh?
They should. They should. But Deeper Diego says Margaret Sanger would approve of the American Eagles ad. So he's adding fuel to this fire.
Okay.
Do you know who Margaret Sanger was?
Margaret Sanger, hold on one second here.
No, don't look it up. Don't grok
No,
it.
I'm not looking it up. I'm saying there's two people that I get confused of. One of them is the
Go-
founder of Planned Parenthood, and the
That's
other
it.
one did the coming of age in Samoa. And I Margaret Sanger, I think, is the Planned Parenthood
Yes, she's
girl.
a
And who did coming of age in Samoa?
Margaret Sanger.
No. Then who's the Planned Parenthood person?
No, Margaret Sanger. I'm joking with you. I'm joking with you.
I'm gonna look
Yeah.
this
So,
up right
but
now.
she was a famous eugenicist, right? She actually.
Yes.
So they say that the Planned Parenthood phenomenon came out of her desire to ethnically cleanse blacks from America.
Margaret Mead did coming of age in Samoa.
Margaret Mead. The amazing Margaret Mead. So you sent me something from the Morning Dispatch, which was a little bit disturbing.
But what about Candace Owens?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick a fight.
No, I want you to tell me. This is my question for you. I was in prison for the rise of Candace Owens. I don't know much about her other than what I've seen recently. You've commented on her post. What have you seen from Candace Owens, and what are your thoughts?
Okay, so she first came on my radar when she was stepping out against leftist culture, basically, and leftist culture is expressed through like Black Lives Matter. And I thought it was extremely courageous at the time because when you came out against Black Lives Matter, a lot of white lefties attacked you and tried to cancel you. This was during the height of cancel culture, too, when she came out against Black Lives Matter and was one of the few people actually saying this is a grift. Now we know why she was saying that. If she sees it, she's got it. But I admired her courage at the time, and I admired her courage because it seemed rather Thomas Sowell-esque, right, and Walter Williams-esque. These people these folks that are resisting the establishment race think that the line that they're supposed to toe all the time, if they're quote unquote black, as Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. And she was coming out as an independent minded person, or so I thought. But over the years, ever since, I mean, maybe it happened before she left, had her spat with Shapiro, but after Ben Shapiro, she went off the rails. Like Ben Shapiro picked her up. She seemed to still be a sane, quote unquote, conservative to the degree that conservatives are sane. She seemed to be one of the saner ones. Then she had her spat with Ben Shapiro and then went off the rails with her anti-Semitism, this talk about Christianity, conspiracy theories, flat earthing. I mean, the whole 9 yards. I mean, she just went over the top. Now, she might have done it because she was alone, insecure, didn't have the backing of Ben Shapiro anymore and wanted to, stake her claim on media. Well, she did it. She did it. Yeah. Ann M says the 7th of October exposed her. Yeah. I don't know what the tipping point was for her, where she went from mindful conservative to absolute batshit crazy. I'm assuming somebody like Tucker Carlson and him swinging off from Fox and then becoming absolutely nuts. So we saw his thoughts degrading over the months before he was finally let go from Fox, but hers just seemed like a rather sudden abandonment of principles for this whatever crazy conspiracy thing that she's doing now.
All right.
She was a leftist doxer and then became a grifter and convinced the Ayn Rand's philosophy sucks Jew club. Okay. To make her the biggest conservative since Rush Limbaugh. Really? She's bigger than Tucker? No?
Are they even conservatives?
No.
I mean, I sent you that article that we're not going to talk about, I guess, but well, maybe we will eventually. But about Josh Hawley, the conservative, wanting to raise the federal minimum wage to $15. I don't. All right. Do we have any questions? Let me see.
So while you're doing that, I'm going to go to, speaking of conservatives and being fiscally minded and representing classical liberalism. Recently, Trump on Thursday sent letters to CEOs of 17 top pharmaceutical companies, including Eli Lilly, Pfizer, Novo Nordisk, calling for them to cut U.S. prices within the next 60 days. The letters included demands that drug makers offer most favored nations prices for newly launched drugs, by the way, and to Medicaid patients, which would tie the price of some of the pharmaceuticals sold in America to the lesser cost at which they are typically sold abroad. Should the companies refuse, Trump threatened to deploy every tool in our arsenal to protect Americans from unfair pharmaceutical pricing. I mean, this is straight out of the leftist playbook, if you ask me. The letters followed the president's May executive order calling for most favored nations pricing and alluding to the possibility of penalties for drug companies. Can you say goodbye to innovation, research, development? Can you say goodbye to the pharmaceutical companies now? Because I think that's what this is. This is the epithet of the
it's also
the epitaph. It's
ridiculous.
the epitaph of the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, there's nothing. I don't know. Like, it's very disheartening for me that at least, back when Reagan and even when Bush and Romney were running, there was some pretense that they were capitalists. But this is just fascism. I mean, socialism, fascism, collectivism, government fucking control bullshit. And it gets cheered on. Now here comes here comes Scott Schiff, our resident Trump defender. No matter what he does, the left-wing playbook is when pharma charged Americans more for drugs because Europe threatened to break their patents. So so whatever Trump then does, he's fighting for us. Get out. No, not true. I don't care what they've done. No matter how big government is backing up pharma, the answer then is not to step in and say, let's put price controls. The answer is to say, let's get government to stop backing pharma. The solution is never more government. Never.
Yes, Michael, what do price controls cause for those
shortages?
Thank you. They cause shortages. Now, why do they cause shortages? I mean, price is just an arbitrary thing. We can make it whatever we want. Why do they cause shortages?
Why do they cause shortages?
Yes.
Well, they cause shortages because if you put up a minimum on a price, if they're selling microphones and the demand for the microphone, if the market clears, at say $25 a microphone, and that gives them enough time to restock more microphones, and they you keep going, buying, selling mics, and all of a sudden you drop it to $10. Well, now more people want microphones. So now the people that were previously getting microphones, or everybody that wants a microphone, cannot get it because, one, more people rush to buy them, and two, once the company realizes they cannot make money off of it, they stop producing them.
Hello. I mean, this should be economics 101 to our Trumpster pal over there. So are you saying that making the drug companies do most favored nation status to
This is from Scott. So this is from somebody who hosts a show called the Ayn Rand Fan Club. If pharma will charge everyone the same price, it's fine.
Scott, I'm going to give you a moment to think about that because on its face,
it's not your goddamn business what pharma charges.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I wanted to let him come to these conclusions.
Listen, and this is my point of view, not that of the American Capitalist Party. But on both moral and practical considerations. Now, I know the moral is the practical, but even for those of you totally devoid, not worried about the rightness or wrongness of government compelling pharmaceutical companies to sell at certain prices, if you put price controls on a product, you end up with less of the product.
Yes.
It's not going to benefit you.
Yes.
They think it's going to, but
think
it's
of that.
Not.
You are increasing demand relative to supply and not increasing the supply. You are going to cause shortages. So say goodbye to the pharmaceutical. In addition, you're reducing their profit margins to such a degree they are not going to invest in research and development. 51% of research and development pharmaceuticals worldwide comes from the United States of America. That means say goodbye to new life.
We're gonna have to just savage Scott today. What's wrong with this statement? Go ahead, Mark. Tell me what's wrong with this statement.
I was promised tariff shortages 3 months ago. Well, first of all, the tariffs haven't been in place. There's actually no agreements that have been set in stone with any of the countries right now. So right now we're in a state of uncertainty about where these tariffs sit. Customs officers are completely baffled by the ever-changing tariff rules, so they don't know what to charge either, 99% of the time. So since they haven't really settled yet, since we have no real deals, despite what President Trump is saying on the outside, the economy is just in a state of uncertainty right now. But I guarantee you, when you tax the American people the way the tariffs are going to tax them, you are going to create supply chain problems. It's just the way the world works, Scott. I'm sorry.
Here's a challenge to
Trump do that,
everybody
but
in
he
our
doesn't.
audience. I got a challenge for everybody in the audience. Google this question. At the beginning of the Trump, from Liberation Day, I think he called it, when Trump first started putting on the tariffs. Look up, when did economists predict we would start seeing the effects of the tariffs? And that was assuming that they all went into place then. You're going to see late 2025, early 2026. So no, Scott, you haven't been hearing about tariff shortages for 3 months because the shortages were not supposed to happen right now. Furthermore, there are companies that are experiencing diminished profits. That is already happening. We also have anemic economic growth, and the labor market is stalling. Now, I'm not going to attribute that to tariffs. I don't ultimately know what's causing that in the short term. What I do know is that the government putting tariffs on companies and ultimately taxing the American people and American companies is both immoral and counterproductive to the goals that the administration say they want. Okay, and here he goes. Okay, no more Scott shift today. We're done.
No. Come on, Scott's good.
No,
fodder.
their obsession with listen.
I
Their
want to play with
obsession
my
with
food.
he and Bill, his partner, they have this obsession with Yaron Brook. Like they can't make it through a discussion without saying, but Yaron or I don't.
Well, Scott, I just want to know, Michael, how your statement that we wouldn't see the effects of this for the next 20 years matters. Why does that matter?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It's an irrelevant thing to say. The fact is, we're going to feel the effects of it at some point, unless they're reversed. So, and which they will likely be by another administration. But we are going to feel the effects of it. Whether they come in 20 years, that's worse for me, to be honest with you, because I'm going to be even an older man dealing with systemic economic collapse as an old dude. The apocalypse. I mean, I'll be a pretty beef jerky apocalyptic guy, but it's still no fun.
The bottom line is this, right?
You had to change your prediction, Scott says.
Okay, so what I would like, they won't do it, but Scott and his pals, his crew, should all just concede you're not pro-capitalist. Why do you have to call yourselves the Ayn Rand fan club? Why do you have to pretend like you're capitalist? Just be what you are and say what you are.
Indeed. In fact, it dilutes the capitalist message when these folks come on and masquerade as capitalists. Then it gives us all a bad name. So Kaya apparently has a question, Mike. If you could go search for that, I'm going to answer another question.
I don't know if she's actually posed her question yet. Has she? Because there's been a thing where they've said that
Ray says that she has.
All right, I'll find it.
Yes, for Teresa and some of the other folks who have been asking about Frankie, he's doing pretty good for 129.5. In fact, he's breaking through his barrier as we speak. I have to save Frankie from himself. Hold on.
You're so cute, everybody. You're so cute. We love you.
All right, he's probably still going to break through his pillow barrier, but he's doing great.
All right,
very
this
proud
is Kaya's question.
Oh. So our governor has teamed up with RFK to get unhealthy foods off the SNAP program. 18 other states are in the process of doing similar things. What are your thoughts on this? Well, look, there should be no SNAP program. That's what our thoughts are on it. This is my particular thought. I'm assuming it's Michael's thought as well.
It's my thought.
It's also the American Capitalist Party's thought. However, I think the American Capitalist Party would probably put it in terms that more people could understand, because we're not for people starving, folks. We just don't think that it's the government's job to rob folks. to support the people who are hungry and or underemployed. It's the job of people who choose to help those folks to become employed or to subsidize them. It's not the job of government. The government protects rights, or it doesn't. So there should be no SNAP program. But since so the whole regulatory process respecting SNAP and the whole fact that there is such a thing as a cabinet level position that RFK occupies, where he has control over what we put into our mouths, has control over what how food corporations make their food. It's very uncapitalistic. It's very fascistic, I would say, a form of corporatism where the government elites are basically controlling the businesses for the sake of the national interests, and the national interest is make America healthy again. And so they're going to bend the wills of each and every individual food industry participant to their will, or take steps to destroy that industry. So I think that's a terrible move. It's just a reduction of freedom on our parts. It's an infantilization of the people in your state and the people in 18 other states. People have to start taking moral agency and control over their own lives. That means what goes into your mouth, you control. What comes out of your mouth, you control. These are both things the government has no place in controlling. You see my cat?
No, I'm reading the chat and listening to you, and the chat is kind of funny.
Oh, okay. So you want to elaborate on that, Michael? What do you think of this?
Ultimately, the simple statement is that stealing from some to breed dependence on others is never a good idea. It's not the moral thing to do. You ultimately keep people at subsistence levels by doing these types of things. It's not good policy. We need better pro-growth policies. And by the way, in a free market, ultimately charities spring up more often that would help to feed these folks that are legitimately, unable to work, that sort of thing. This is the ultimate problem when you put in the government policies beget more government policies, controls beget more controls, right? Because now you say, okay, well, you're taking government money, which of course is the people's money, not the government's money, but you're taking it, so then therefore you have to do what we say. It's the same thing when you start funding education. Well, you're taking government money, you have to teach how we tell you to teach. It's the idea behind what Scott's talking about. Other countries are pressuring pharmaceuticals. So then our answer to that is, oh, well, let's put our own controls on these things, right? Not let's free up the market. It's the solution is more and more government control, according to the big government crowd. According to us, the solution is phase out this SNAP program, phase out all welfare benefits, let the market take over, let freedom reign, and that will produce a situation where less people will be in the position to need things like SNAP. Also, private charities, to be perfectly honest, would probably be providing these things better anyways, whether they be food pantries, churches, whatever. I mean, most people are not so cold as to when somebody is legitimately starving through no fault of their own, they're just going to walk by them. It's not like the heroin addict at the end of my street with the sign, give me some money, and I know what it's for, right? If somebody's legitimately hungry, people are not going to let them starve, and they shouldn't. I wouldn't. I mean, if I could afford it and somebody's hungry, I'll help them out. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with helping somebody as long as I'm not hurting myself at the same time. But these programs just tend to breed corruption. They breed more controls, and they waste money.
I couldn't agree more. And you know what? Even as taxed as Americans are, we are the most beneficent people on earth. We give more to charity than any other nation on earth. And that says something about the beneficence of a basically free people. So I think Lee has questions that she wants answered.
I'm looking. I'm on it.
And also, Manu, that's right. If people were talking about the tape on my arm, it's kinesiology tape. It's meant to help relieve, in this case, tendonitis in my forearm. So I wear that, and it becomes my tendon essentially. So it takes the stress off of the tendon when I roll later today. So thank you, 21st century medicine. I love you, and I am glad I have been born in this century and not some past century. Please don't ever go bald. That's one of Lee's saying she loves me so much. Please don't ever go bald.
Okay, that was one of her questions, is why do you have blue stuff on your arm? Then you've answered that.
Okay.
All right, I'm still going. You have when I'm doing this, you have to improvise. You're an actor. Say something clever.
I could say something about that comment, but I won't.
Okay, then we'll say something. Make fun of me. Something.
I don't know about the baldness. I mean, this is something that I have a reasonable amount of control over, but not entirely, because some of that would be genetic. But certainly, baldness that is caused by hormonal and/or buildup within the follicle, I can certainly do something about that here. So I will do my best not to go bald, even though what's wrong with bald people? I mean, look at Mike. So Labor Department stats came out, folks. July.
Okay, here's a question. I have a question. Here's Lee's question. Lee, you've asked more than one question. So if I picked the wrong one, I'm sorry, but you have to understand that, I don't know which one's which. But Lee says, Mark, when you used Robert Rand as a fake name, was that an alias? Did you pick Rand because of Ayn Rand, or was it a coincidence?
Yeah, so Robert Rand was supposed to be a fake name. Robert was the name. Robert Carnegie is the name of my acting coach, acting teacher, the founder of Playhouse West in Studio City, and Rand, of course, was after Ayn Rand. So I combined the two of them together, and it doesn't matter because IMDb does not consider your fake name. It still puts the title under your own name. So c'est la vie. So much for flying under the radar.
I got to tell you, today,
happened.
Between Candace Owens and Scott Schiff, and the stitches that I'm tired of, my annoyance.
So Ellie Beard wants to know about word of mouth. So Word of Mouth was written by a friend of mine by the name of Tom Lazarus, who taught writing at UCLA. He also wrote The Stigmata, which I didn't think was a great horror movie, but it did get one of the top 100 horror movies of the 20th century. So he wrote Stigmata, and he also wrote a movie called Movies Kill that I did with him, a little independent film that I did with him. And so when he asked me to do Word of Mouth, which he wrote, he was becoming a producer at the Playboy channel. Now, of course, normally I would not have done a word of mouth for just anyone, but it was Tom Lazarus, a friend of mine who I'd done movies with before, who's a legit writer and producer. And so I did this movie about a documentarian that follows around a high-class prostitute and falls in love with her, of course, falls in love with the illusion of her. And of course, it doesn't end well for him in the end, but it's sort of a strange little comedy with lots of nudity because it was the Playboy channel. What can I say? Yes, that is my contribution to Blue movies, folks. Lee has another question. What do you think about the UKS online safety law? I heard other countries, including the US, are looking to copying it. Okay. It's so 1984 over here. So please say me. I think you're right, especially after Vance goes over to Europe and starts pillorying all the leaders of Europe for not really respecting the First Amendment. Now it looks like the Trump administration is going to actually adopt some of the legislation that Europe is adopting for social media. That will be a cold shower for free speech in the United States of America. I mean, this is step one towards obliterating the First Amendment in America if this goes through. Do you know about these laws over in the UK?
I do not. Generally, I'm against them. I don't know the specifics, so I don't really.
Basically, you can get arrested in some countries in Europe for cursing at somebody on social media, or when you make somebody uncomfortable or feel bad because you've insulted them. A policeman can show up to your door, and you could spend time in jail for that.
Well, I don't want the police showing up to my door.
That's how crazy it is. Like if I do this podcast over in England, in the UK.
Can I tell you something funny?
There might be times when I get into trouble.
Can I stray a little bit?
Go stray.
So I have been censored by X for calling somebody a coward for calling me names behind a fake name, names like Jew and shit, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was censored. Meanwhile, a guy basically threatened to shoot me, called me I think a dirty Jew or something else. I reported him, and X told me we found nothing wrong with this post.
Wow, that is crazy.
It's insane.
I
It was
mean,
months ago, but it just came to my mind because we're talking about English law, which I really don't know anything about. But people should not be getting arrested for stating their opinions on X. However, if you are actually threatening bodily harm to somebody, different.
I agree with you. Yeah, if that is different. So, did you see that comedian? I forget the comedian's name, but he does an expose. He puts two songs side by side. You know, there was a lot of leftist agita over the song "Baby It's Cold Outside," right?
Yeah, they say it's rapey.
Yeah, they said it was rapey, but then he puts it up against this other song that won like 3 Grammys for Best Song of the Year, and I think it's called My Wet Pussy" or something like that. And so he puts the lyrics side by side, and says, "Look, the world has gone insane. The people came out and are trying to cancel 'Baby It's Cold Outside' while letting this go as Song of the Year."
Yeah. Meanwhile, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, these people perform, at the highest levels. So, whatever. I don't know. It's all crap.
Well, it's a super funny video. So we have a labor market reports, folks. The U.S. economy added a lower than expected 73,000 jobs in July. That sounds unbelievably low. Is that just me, or does that sound unbelievably low?
It's not unbelievably low, but it's low. I don't know, Manu, if your comment was deleted. I don't. It's not unbelievably low. I don't even know if it's attributable to Trump. But the point is, and this is where I love the daily sort of news, because if it was a great labor report, the Trumpists would all be out there. Yeah, Trump. Look how good he's doing. You were wrong, as Scott did earlier when he was touting how wonderful everything is. But when there's bad news like this, they don't similarly say, "Oh my God, Trump's fault." It reminds me of God, right? When something goes right, they say thank God, but God never gets the blame for the bad stuff, right? You could literally have a plane crash into a building, kill 250 people. One guy survives, and they say thank God. Right. And that's what this type of stuff reminds me of, is you can't get any, and it's not unique to Trump. I mean, political parties, politicians, they all do it. We ultimately can't know what's causing this yet. There's too many variables, but we do know from economics and from ethics that what Trump is doing is wrong and won't ultimately work.
Ali Beard is right. I guess they should never look at "Baby Got Back."
Have you ever heard My Posse's on Broadway?
I like Big Butts. What's that?
It's the same song.
What's that? What is?
I like Big Butts and Baby Got Back. It's the same
Oh, that's it.
song.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
You need to listen to My Posse's on Broadway by Sir Mix-a-Lot. Awesome song.
Why?
Right.
Why is it
Just
awesome?
listen to it. It's a good tune. I don't know. I liked it. It's from my childhood.
The unemployment rate rose to 4.2%, in line with forecasts. So,
Okay.
Scott, it looks like people are forecasting unemployment to rise a little bit, which makes sense given the chaos of our times.
And they've also revised downward employment numbers from the last months. When they did that under Biden, of course, the conservatives said, look, they do it afterwards, so nobody knows what's happening. But when it happens under Trump, we get crickets.
Yes, so to that point, significant downward revisions to prior month's job gains. June's job growth was revised down to 14,000 and May's down to 19,000, combining for 258,000 fewer jobs than previously estimated over those 2 months. 258,000 fewer jobs. Those are the unseen consequences, Scott, of a policy that's economically chaotic, and upon which businesses cannot make choices because they don't know what's happening from 1 week to the next, since the law changes with Trump's whims. And that is not the kind of government we want. And I hope you as an objectivist wouldn't want that kind of government either. This suggests a weakening labor market, although not a collapse, according to economists. Key U.S. Economic indicators for July 2025. And here's a summary of the U.S. economic numbers and trends released in July 2025, reflecting the state of the economy. GDP, the second quarter 2025 advance estimate, real GDP increased at an annual rate of 3%.
Which is pretty good. I mean, it's not great, but it's pretty good.
I mean, for a state that is as inundated with regulation as ours and as things are right now, that is actually
the last quarter it rose at, what did you just say, at 0.5% or something? It was real low.
It went down. It decreased 0.5%.
Okay, so it was actually in negative territory, and their projections are for 2.3%, which is less than it was in Obama's administration, less than it was in Trump's last administration. Well, when Trump had the good economy, it was like 2.6 or 2.7. Once COVID came, of course, it tanked. But it's just anemic growth. It's not the robust growth that the Trumpsters tried to tout. I just want to give a message to Race Jacobson real quick. Race, you sent me a thumbnail. Could you send us one with Candace on it? I would prefer a Candace thumbnail. What do you think, Mark?
Yes, me too. That would be great. Yeah, put
Yes.
Candace on there. Enric says tariffs and immigration arrests attacking the economy. I agree with that. And I was just talking to my wife that one of my friends, good friends in Colorado, he used to build houses. His family was one of the biggest real estate folks in the Denver area, and he speaks or understands Spanish because the predominant crew is made up of Mexican immigrants who come over and they build our houses. Now the right wing is going to say, I'm looking for a low wage labor pool, a second class of citizen, or a second class of people, a lower class of people that we can rely on for labor. That's exploitative of me. No, but it's certainly got houses built, and now the people aren't even showing up to construction sites now because they're afraid of ICE raids.
Can you see the clip though, Mark? Can you see the clip coming?
Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
The clip coming. It's going to be out there. First, it's going to have you saying "my wet pussy," and then it's going to have you saying "the Mexicans come over here to build my houses."
Okay.
It's going to be funny. Those clips, by the way,
ideas.
No, by the way, those capitalist corner out of context clips are freaking hilarious. I love them. I love them. Love them. Lee has turned on me. Lee says that I am ungrateful.
That's true. So look, the driving factors behind this anemic growth, the increase was primarily driven by a decrease in imports and an increase in consumer spending, although decreases in investment and exports are partially exports partially offset these gains. And the forecast is predicted a 2.3 growth, as you said, for the third quarter of 2025. According to the GDP Now model, and the median forecast from a Wall Street Journal survey in July was 2.3%. So we're looking at downturns here, folks, and this makes sense. It makes sense to anybody with a modicum of understanding of the way economics works. At least to me, it makes sense. Right, Mike?
I'm
you
with
agree?
you. Yes,
I want you to deal with these articles that you sent me that I did not read because they sound fantastic.
What?
You have there's two articles that I didn't get a chance to read today.
And
So
hold on. How many did I send?
You sent two.
Okay. Can we do
I
the
got
psychology?
busy. I got
Can
busy.
we do the Psychology Today article? Because I like that one.
Yes. Let's do the Psychology Today article, which is entitled "How to Live Value Aligned and Make What Matters Truly Matter." I love the title of that. I think you should post that on X.
Okay, I'll do that. Maybe the people on X will actually read the article. So I've always been fascinated. Well, I shouldn't say always, but ever since I decided to change, I've noticed that there can be an incongruity, right, between what a person claims to value or wants to value and what a person actually values. There's a great quote from Emerson that sort of captures this, and I might not get the quote exact, so take it as a paraphrase. But Emerson said, "What you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying."
That's wonderful.
And it is wonderful, and it means that I watch what a person does, not what a person says. And through years in prison, I would hear guys talk about how much they love their children, but meanwhile they're gambling their money away. They're putting their risk, they're risking their freedom by doing drugs, gambling, fighting, whatever. Um, and I decided, I really had to pay attention to that in myself. And Nathaniel Brandon talked about that your emotions are signals telling you what you value. So I would always pay attention to my emotions. What's getting me upset? What gets me angry? Because that's a clue to what I actually value, not what I want to value. Now, there's this a philosopher, Harry Frankfurt, who talked about first order desires and second order desires, right? Our first order desires are the things that we want. Second order desires refer to what we want to desire. And so as I was changing, I said, what I need to do is make my second order desires my first order desires, replace what I actually value with what I want to value. And what this article talked about is value alignment, is having our actions align with what we want to value. And it's just such a good way to look at things is ask yourself, what are the values I believe are the correct values? And then pay attention to your behavior and see, am I behaving in line with this? Am I saying, oh, I like, I'm very interested in my health, but meanwhile you're eating hot dogs and M&Ms and not getting any exercise, right? Are you saying you want to learn more, but you won't listen to a podcast or read a book, right? Are you saying you want to meet new people, make new friends, but you're spending your weekends watching television, right? So you pay attention to your behavior, you pay attention to what you're claiming to value, and ultimately you start to change your thinking. When you notice your thinking is coming into those old values, you switch it and direct it toward the new values, and you do the same thing with your behavior. Ultimately, you can achieve value alignment. And that is the goal. And that's ultimately what this article is about. I'm going to reach out to the author and see if I can get her to do an interview.
Love that. I love that.
I'm going to post it to X right now, Mark.
Good. Well, folks, you get some good psychology here too, because I think in order to live in a capitalist society, you need a healthy psychology.
Thank you, Race.
You need to pursue values that are rational, and reality as your arbiter means that you are always aware of whether what you're pursuing or not is good or bad. Did you want to talk about that final article before you give the capitalist thought for the day? Because we only have a little less than 7 minutes left in the show. I don't see any questions.
I don't know what the final article is.
The final article is the sanctuary cities. It's Trump versus the 10th Amendment.
Trump versus the 10th Amendment. It has to do with the federal government forcing localities to follow federal law. And it's an interesting challenge for conservatives because there was a previous case that was decided, and I think that Scalia actually wrote the opinion, was can the federal government force localities to enforce federal gun laws? And at that time, the conservatives said, no, absolutely not. This is a 10th Amendment issue. And, the states don't have to do the federal government's bidding for them. Now the shoe is on the other foot, and the federal government wants the states to enforce their immigration laws. So the author of the article is, I think it was Damon Root, but don't quote me on that. But he says that if they follow precedent, they're going to have to shoot down the Trump administration, and I would think they will have to. What do you want to know about Taylor Swift, Robert? I'm here to answer the question. Robert, I'm not just going to shake it off. I want to know what the question is about Taylor Swift. Oh, my dogs, hear him?
I do. So
I absolutely am a Swiftie. Love Taylor Swift.
I can't say I'm a Swiftie. Kiana's asking me, I think, am I a Swiftie? Lee's asking me, am I a Swiftie?
Do you know any of her music? Have you given it a shot?
Not really.
Well, we're gonna get you to listen to some.
I probably do know it, but I just don't. It's not my fare.
Oh, Scott Schiff is a Swiftie. He says we are never, ever, ever getting back together. My friend said to your friend, I don't know, whatever. I love Taylor Swift, and evidently Scott Schiff does as well. See?
Well, good. We're ending on
music makes strange bedfellows. What can I say?
Indeed, it does. So, Michael, it's your turn to do the capitalist thought of the day.
How is it my turn?
Because I did the capitalist thought of the day yesterday.
All right. So Mark did the capitalist thought of the day yesterday. I will do the capitalist thought of the day today. And I'm going to make it around Trump wanting to get the pharmaceutical companies to lower their prices. So foreign governments we cannot control what they do. So if they pressure these pharmaceutical companies, if the pharmaceutical companies cave to them, we can't do any of that. We can't do anything about it. None of that justifies the government of the United States implementing force against these pharmaceutical companies to get them to sell more cheaply. The product does not belong to the federal government, nor does it belong to me or any other citizen other than the shareholders of these companies. They own the product and they ought to be free to dispense with it as they please. If that means selling it for outlandish prices, such as their right, if that means setting it on fire and throwing it into the ocean, that is their prerogative. Fortunately, for the rest of us, that is not economically sound. It is in their interest to bring down prices. It is in their interest to produce more products as long as they can sell those products on the market. If the government steps in and starts telling them how much they can make and how much they can sell these products for, that is going to disincentivize the making of the product. So, as with much of what the government does, it violates the rights of the producer and does not produce the type of benefit that they believe it will produce. Now, as a note, go check out my podcast, The Rational Egoist. Great interview out right now. Monday is my birthday, so I will be expecting a lot of happy birthdays from you people, especially the ones who antagonize me and harass me on a regular basis, like Mark Pellegrino.
Yeah, I'll give you a birthday present.
Oh no! Oh
So,
my God.
folks, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button before you go, and remember to share this on YouTube and across other platforms, so the algorithm likes us, so this message gets out to people, so that we can start changing the culture to be pro-individualist, pro-capitalist, because we have a lot of work to do and a lot of people to reform. That's not the word. Convert. That's the word I was looking for. Convert. So help us in the conversion process, folks. And we will be here Monday during Michael's birthday. So make sure you mistreat him severely on his birthday, just like he said. And make sure you harass him totally and make him feel like he wishes he were somewhere else while we were doing the podcast. That would make me very happy. Until then, folks. You have the entire weekend to peruse your values, to check your premises, and come back here a fresh and anew, a whole new person. I want to see a whole new people here on Monday. So we'll see you 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and yeah. Until then, happy capitalisting, folks. Happy
Awesome.
capitalisting.